So I was in Destin, Florida last week making sandcastles. I know, lots of fun. I did my research beforehand and then applied what I learned so that now I have the real life experience to show you how to build a cool sandcastle using tools you have around the house. Here's the tools I started with, although I really only used a few of them, which I'll explain later. I'll walk you through the process as I build a few sandcastles. You'll need some buckets for carrying water. You'll start by making a pile of sand and making a hole in the center. Start small because this process takes a lot of effort, and so the less sand, the less effort, of course. Next, you'll dump several buckets of water on it so that all of the sand in the pile is a thick paste. You'll need about 2 or 3 times as much water compared to sand. Then you'll form it into a shape. If you have to patch anything, you'll want to add water in order to make a strong bond. Finally, you'll want to pack it down on the top and the sides so it's as hard as concrete. If you add extra features or structures, you can use a slurry of sand and water as your building material. You'll then pour more water over it to act as the glue so it bonds with the existing structure. This is important to remember. Water is always the glue. If you want to use a mold, you should use buckets that have the top cut out. This allows them to keep their shape as you remove the mold. Here's a mold that snaps open. I found it at a thrift store for $4. It's quicker than building the structures by hand. You can dig out tunnels as long as your sand is hard packed. You can use a mechanical pencil to carve out rock shapes and then use a straw to blow away the excess sand. I have to share a word of caution though, because when you're using a straw, it's easy to blow sand into your eyes, and that can be very painful and dangerous. So take precautions, especially if you're going to be working with children. Here I'm building up a structure and then carving out features. On this one, I'm using a plastic butter knife to carve out features on my tower. You always want to start at the top and work down. That way the sand you carve away doesn't mess up things below. Here I'm building some stairs. You start by making a ramp, being sure to use lots of water as glue and then packing it tight by patting it. Use a putty knife to knock away sections of sand to make the stairs. Here's another set of stairs I build. You push down and then pull outward quickly to knock away the sand. For the large rock pattern, I used a butter knife. That helped to round the edges and make the grout line larger, which made the rocks look more prominent. Here are my castles, starting with my first one and ending with my last one. Here I dropped the sand water slurry to make gravel around my castle. On this one I made boulders. Unfortunately, I didn't capture how to make the big boulders, but basically I just used the putty knife to carve them, being sure to undercut them on the bottom to give depth. You'll notice here that I also formed sea creatures around my castle. These are the basic tools that I used 90% of the time. The mat was great for keeping my tools organized because I was worried about losing something in the sand that might injure someone, so the mat was a convenient place to toss my tools when I wasn't using them. After my first 2 sandcastles, my bottom was hurting from scooting around on the sand, so I used the boogie board as a seat, which helped a lot. The larger shovel allowed me to build my initial pile quickly. Obviously, the bucket was necessary for holding water. The yogurt container was invaluable for scooping out and pouring water when I needed glue. The grout float was nice for packing sand and for smoothing out the sand around my castles. I used the putty knives for cutting edges, carving boulders, scooping up excess sand, and making stairs. I actually used the putty knives 70% of the time. The pencil was used for carving. The measuring spoon was perfect for carving out domed windows. The butter knife was nice for cutting out precise sections of sand. The larger straw was used for blowing away excess sand. I hope this video has been helpful. Be sure to check out the description for the free manual I made in Canva. Have fun out there and be sure you pick up all of your tools and fill in any large holes you've created. That will ensure that no one gets hurt as they admire your beautiful sandcastle.